Hello, welcome to the Podcasters Podcast. I'm Ash and I'm here with Tom from Progressive Media, and we are talking about promoting your podcast. Tom, where do you think is the best place to promote your podcast?
Thanks, Ash. Great to be here again with you. So where should you promote your podcast? A question we get asked all the time because aside from actually coming up with the content and recording, the biggest challenge almost every podcaster face is trying to grow their show. And everyone wants the magic secret answer to, I'll go here, post this, and you'll get 10,000 downloads. Unfortunately, can't provide that answer. It's not that simple, but there are some things you can look out for and go and do to really, understand how you can grow your show in a meaningful way. So the important thing I say to everyone is, your instinct is to immediately go like, oh, cool, right, I've got a podcast now, so I just post a link to it once a week on my LinkedIn. I post a link to it once a week on my Facebook. That's fine, but that isn't going to get you lots and lots of downloads for a couple of key reasons. And understanding those reasons, it will help you know where you do need to go. Is when someone listens to your podcast, you're stealing their time. They could be doing anything other in the world than listening to your podcast. They could be spending their time with their kid. They could be working. So when someone is listening to your show, they're not doing something else. So make sure your show is worth listening to. So the first thing, before we can talk about where to promote, is making sure your show is worth listening to. Make sure it has got actionable content if it's education, that it's incredibly entertaining if it's entertaining, that people will want to go and listen to it. Selfish reason. No one listens to your show because they love you. They listen to it because there's something they're going to get from it. Now you know what the value of your show is, you can start to understand who listens to your show. And that is where you then learn the best way to promote your show. Because the very fundamental answer to your question, in the long, long way around, is where do you promote your show? It's where your audience hang out. And figuring out then who your audience is and where they hang out is going to be how you can solve the riddle of how do I promote my show, basically.
I was going to say, how do you find out who is your listener, your ideal listener?
So when you are setting up your podcast, you should definitely do some work to try and figure out who is your show for. So we know for our show, for example, the Podcasters Podcast, when we put this together, we had a few questions. Is it for people interested in podcasting? Is it for people that listen to podcasts but don't have one? Is it for people that have one and want to grow it, or have one and have other questions? And we made the very conscious decision, our podcast will be for people that already have a podcast and they want to make it better, they want it to grow, they want to make more money from it, they want to see it, have more listeners. So we decided when we make our content, who our listener will be. Now for you, and whatever your show is about, have some understanding of who your listener is. Like, a client we work with who's called Damp Sam, he focuses on damp proofing and teaching people that do plastering how they could become damp proofers instead, because it's an easier job on the body. He knows that his clients or his potential clients and his potential listeners are then going to be people that work in the trade. And knowing that, he can reverse engineer where he can find them and how he can market to them. So how do you know who's listening to your show? You should have an audience avatar of who your best listener is and what your content is for, because your show will attract those people.
And how do I know where they hang out? How do I find those people?
So there's a bunch of different ways you can do this. The first one is to think broader than you're normally thinking. A lot of people are trapped in, not necessarily trapped, but they have a very narrow paradigm of Facebook groups, LinkedIn, and then I have an Instagram page as well. Mm-hmm. But there are vast, vast places on the internet where interested groups hang out and do stuff with each other. You've got Reddit, you've got Discord servers, you've got Telegram groups, you've got Quora communities, you've got forums like you have in the old school version of the internet. There's all these different places where large groups of people, often far larger than most people realize, hang out, spend their time and share their interests. And if you did, an hour's worth of research to look outside of your bubble for, let's say, for podcasting, where potential listeners for our show might be, you'll be surprised. There is a subreddit for podcasters, as in people who run podcasts, that's got over 25,000 people in it. Now I can go there, I can share some value, I can answer some questions, and then when I want to promote my show, I'm not speaking to 100,000 people, of which a handful might be interested. I'm speaking to 25,000 people, but every single one of them could be interested. So doing that research and finding the little niche communities and places on the internet where people are, could be subreddits, like I said, communities on Discord, Telegram, etc. Really think outside the box and think outside your bubble for where people spend their time, and then go there and become a presence. Might be a Facebook group, might be a LinkedIn circle, but wherever that place is, before you start promoting, make sure you add some value. You do the same on LinkedIn. You spend time on LinkedIn and you answer people's questions and people get to know you. And then when they have a question, they're coming direct to you. And that's what you want, because if you're a part of a community or a group that you add value to, when you then go, hey, here's my episode about X, they're going to be far, far, far more likely to tune in and become dedicated listeners.
So based on that, you're saying it's more valuable to spend your time and effort advertising in one or two specific places than spreading yourself very thinly and trying to advertise everywhere?
I think that there's definitely an argument that you can really easily spread yourself too thin. And I think a lot of people spend too much time trying to cover the bases, the generic bases of like, oh, I need to do an Instagram post, I need to do a tweet, I need to do a Snapchat, I need to do a whatever, without thinking like, is anyone that's seeing that actually going to be a podcast listener? Definitely want to spend the time and find the potential niche places online where you'll actually get new audience from, and then rank them, let's say, 1 to 10, and then split your time between the top 3. There's a rule of thumb that lots of people use, which is like 70, 20, 10, and, committing 70% of your time to one place where you'll get the most result, 20% to the next place, and 10% to the next place. And I think for every podcast, with half an hour of like really good research, using, some keyword tools like SEMrush, using a Reddit tracker so that you can see the different communities and how they connect, you would be able to get that 70, 20, 10 and that list of communities really easily, and you'll massively accelerate how you can attract new audience to your show.
That's brilliant, Tom. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for listening. Remember to subscribe, leave us a review, and we'll speak to you next time. Cheers.